So welcome to Expert Talks by Kalkine TV. I'm Sage, your host. Today's special guest is Jack O'Halloran. He's a CEO and co-founder at Skale Network. And Scale are known as an elastic network, bringing scalability to Ethereum, taking out the complexity to enable Dapps to run 1,000 times faster. They were the first project to launch a token on Consensys Codefi's Activate platform as well, and have many innovative features, including on-chain file storage, zero gas fees, and close to 2,000 transactions per second. So here to tell us more is the CEO and co-founder, Jack O'Halloran. Welcome to the show, Jack.
Hello, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, so great to connect with you today. We think your brand is amazing. And could you share with us the mission behind your innovative mission and brand?
Yeah. So what I'd like to start with is I could tell you a lot of buzzwords. We could go into the finality, the multi-chain modular components, but I think it's easiest to sum up what Scale does is just to say Scale is a user experience focused blockchain. So what we try to do is optimize the user experience. Today, there are hundreds of thousands of users that use blockchain a day globally. There are not hundreds of millions. And the reason is not because of the value of blockchain. The reason is that it's just really hard for normal users to use blockchain, and it's expensive. And so Scale is a blockchain network that aims to, our goal is to help developers build applications that any normal user can use that still leverage NFTs, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, decentralized ledgers, et cetera, to bring the power of blockchain to hundreds of millions or even billions of people.
Wow, that's fantastic. Because a lot of this deep tech, as you said, doesn't really have the end user in mind when it's being developed. And I suppose that's one of the barriers, that the users don't really understand at the same level what the developers do. So it sounds great that your mission is to help the mass adoption by making it easier. So smart contracts could revolutionize data storage, and Scale's making the most of this with even offering on-chain storage facilities. How does it compare to cloud computing, please, which is democratizing software development as well?
Yeah, and I come from Web 2. I come from SaaS, so it was all about cloud computing. I was an entrepreneur building traditional enterprise software products that have spanned global audiences, and I've worked with the largest companies around the globe. So learned a lot about cloud computing, learned a lot about file storage, and one of the values of blockchain is that data can be stored actually on chain. Okay, to have data available on chain enables applications to operate in a decentralized manner. Scale not only lets data live on chain, but it lets images and videos live on chain. That means you can actually have NFTs or decentralizedly streaming videos on the blockchain in a trustless manner. And again, why do we care about all of this stuff? Why is that important? Frankly, it's not about cost savings. What it's about is empowerment and incentives. When you move data on chain, you enable different types of business models to come about. Business models that let users monetize their own data. They let users own their own assets. They let things like NFTs come into power. They help decentralize social media. They decentralize advertising. We're at the very beginning of this movement in Web3. And like I said, frankly, there's been amazing groundwork laid, but we've not collectively solved the user experience issue yet. So we still have to make these things easier. But part of that is enabling the data to live appropriately in the right way for applications to access it, while it's still decentralized and on a blockchain. And that's Scale's mission with file storage is just do that.
That sounds so cool. So we are at the very beginning, and at the moment it sounds like a grand plan, and it sounds really great in theory, but I would love to see this democratization and for the users who create content to have more power, as you said, be more empowered in their creation process. Can you help us understand a little bit more about NFTs, for example? How does fractional ownership enable liquidity with NFTs, and how is that different to fungibility, please?
Yeah. So that's a great question. There's a number of layers, so I'm going to unpack that. So first thing I'll try to educate people on is, what is an NFT? An NFT is just a token, like the Scale token, for example, is a utility token, and it's fungible. It pays for service in the network. It secures the Scale network. It's not an NFT, because if I have 10 of them and you ask me to send you one, the system just knows I have 10. It's not tracking, oh, did I send the third out of the 10 or the fourth out of the 10? NFTs are really just tokens that have individual characteristics. So if I had 10 and I wanted to send you number 8 of 10, then the system knows that I'm sending you 8 of 10. It's not just, bunching them together so they're fungible. It's actually, and what that does is it enables businesses, developers, applications to create individualized NFTs. So these NFTs not only are 1 of 10 or 1 of 10,000 or 10 of 10,000, they also can have metadata or characteristics included, like images, right? You see the Bored Apes, you see CryptoPunks. Well, there's a picture too. And so not only is it number, X of Y, it also can have characteristics like images. And so now if let's say I created a 10 NFT set, and this is getting to your question about fractionalized ownership. And I am a number 4 of 10, and let's say it's worth like $2 million. Let's say it's an ape, and everyone's going ape over this thing, and they want to, but not a lot of people can or want to spend $2 million on a JPEG that's backed up on a smart contract, right? A lot of people may say, hey, I want to own part of that. Well, what fractionalized NFTs do is they enable people to buy a component. So I might say, I'm going to take this NFT and I'm going to split it into 1,000 parts. And then I could own 1/1000th of that NFT, and I'm owning a component of something that's non-fungible. So I believe you can still support non-fungibility of that model. However, it brings up different issues and different jurisdictions about, securities and fractional, so it's, we've personally have not launched one. I haven't seen one, has not launched yet on Scale, but people are doing fractionalized assets that are made NFTs on Scale. So it's an interesting landscape. Different jurisdictions will probably have different rules on how that's regulated, because fractionalizing ownership is, you're essentially not owning the ape, you're owning a piece of the ape.
Thank you so much for helping us understand that better. So real estate is a sector that's been sort of adopting that fractionalized NFT model quite a lot. E-commerce, gaming, the energy industry, they're all benefiting from this amazing blockchain technology and its capabilities. So you mentioned before, we're just right at the beginning of the Web3, the evolution of Web3. So what real world problems do you see Web3 being able to solve?
So one of the things I'm most excited about are decentralized marketplaces. So marketplaces provide value because they bring buyers and sellers. Okay, people have services or products and people want to buy them. And what happens is in the internet world in Web 2, these marketplaces needed a coordinator in order to facilitate those exchanges. And those coordinators started small, and they started getting bigger and bigger and more powerful. And they've essentially created monopolies. And so Web3 also enables decentralized marketplaces. Brain Trust is a really good example of one of these. And in the talent market space, it's one of the most widely used Web3 applications today. And what happens is people, knowledge workers, people who are engineers or data scientists, they might say, hey, I want to take a job. And then someone like Nike, for example, says, hey, we need to hire a data scientist. Well, in the past, 50% of that salary would go to like a middleman who's running a talent marketplace. Now, Brain Trust is a decentralized token model, and it's a blockchain. And now that user gets almost all of that money, instead worker, instead of in a middleman, because it's a community. It's almost a co-op. It's a group run property. And we're going to see this come into place when it comes to social media. Instead of like Facebook and Google making all this money off of your identity and the buttons you click and selling it, they actually let you opt in and start getting that money yourself, right? That's a good example. We think about music, artists, creators. Scale's working with Fireside. It's Mark Cuban and Fallon Fatemi's new company that is about decentralized media and content. And there's actually Hollywood productions being created and with interactive fan engagement that are using NFTs for gating and monetary components. So they're revolutionizing the entertainment space. So we're seeing these things happen all over. Gaming too is a huge category of growth.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that about Fireside, Mark Cuban's new content creation business, you said? That's so cool. Yes. So yeah, a lot of people think that the entertainment industry and blockchain ticketing and e-commerce will allow for the mass adoption of this technology. It'll be really interesting to see what happens in the coming years, especially with brands like Meta saying they're going to, encompass the metaverse into their platform as well. But as we start to wind up the discussion here, what are your future predictions for NFTs and the metaverse? Do you think Ethereum will continue to dominate the subsector, having at present close to 97% of the market share?
Yeah, I think NFTs are just in the first chapter. We're at the very beginning, and right now we're seeing the vast majority of NFT trading volume comes from the top 20 collectible assets. These top 20, frankly, don't have any functional utility other than gating which Discord channel you get into, or they let you buy the next NFT. Where we're going with that, and you're starting to see this happen with some of the top collectible sets. And we're seeing this happen across the board with brands, athletes, businesses, where their NFTs are transitioning into something I like to call functional NFTs. They actually have functional value. Not only are they scarce and have liquidity and can be a one of X of a package, but it could be, a backstage pass to go see your favorite band behind the scenes. You could be, in the Fireside example, having a producer NFT, and you're actually sitting there behind the scenes with the director and the producer and the people talking about the plot line, because you have this gated entry and you actually have a say in the way movies are made and the way the plot unfolds and which actors are selected. And so NFTs, and you think about games, so brands now are also saying, hey, these NFTs can be leveraged and utilized in the metaverse, used within games. Now, is the future of the metaverse Mark Zuckerberg's vision? I don't think so. I think, you have to give Facebook credit for building phenomenal technology. The VR and the haptic and visual interactive elements, who can compete with that? But what they can't compete with are economics and incentives, because they have to produce revenue. Decentralization is hard to compete with because it gives all the money to all the users. No company has to make money. And so I believe the future of the metaverse and NFTs will be community run, community owned. And Scale is purpose built for that. Scale is also built and connected to Ethereum. It's Ethereum friendly, even though it's its own blockchain. And so I believe in the growth of Ethereum long term. Ethereum ecosystem will prevail. And the Ethereum, though, will be leveraged for transactions that make sense. If it costs $500 to do a transaction, well, you don't want to have end user transactions that are a $5 transaction when you have a $100 fee. Those types of transactions, those high volume transactions, user application based transactions, those can live on blockchain scaling platforms like Scale, while they're anchored into Ethereum for security. So it's complex. There's many layers, but at the end of the day, all of us working in blockchain, we're working, and we don't worry about the markets. We're head down hustling because we see the path, and we want to bring these products to the market. We want to bring these products to people.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. They've been so valuable. And it's really inspiring to hear your ideas about NFTs, because one of the hardest things to do is really to give value to art. And I think NFTs and almost gamifying the process is offering people just a little bit more knowledge and insight into how we can value art and other things that maybe have been underrepresented in some ways in our society. So thank you so much, Jack. We do appreciate your insights. Was there anything you'd like to share before we close off the discussion?
I'd just like to say we're really pumped about the Scale V2 launch, which we'd call the Scaleverse. Scale, as I said, is this user experience optimized blockchain network. So there's a lot of partners launching. So you can go to scale.network and check it out. And just really excited to see all these different games and DeFi applications and NFT applications go live. So pumped to support our developer partners. And so thanks for having me on today and letting me share a few opinions.
Yes, it was so great. We do appreciate your time. And if you've just joined us, we had an informative discussion with Jack O'Halloran. He's the co-founder and CEO at Skale Network. And for the full interview, please head to Kalkine Media's YouTube channel. Keep watching for more of these excellent expert talks and market insights. Till the next episode, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine Media.